You are here because you are looking for something that can make you healthier or even happier. Maybe you are a busy professional who has some excess weight and you feel tired and have mental fog. Maybe you are someone who has high cholesterol or diabetes and other chronic diseases, and you are frustrated because you are going to different physicians and not finding your solutions. If that applies on you, then you are at right place. I'm Dr. Neetu Sharma. I'm double board certified kidney specialist and functional medicine expert. And I'm founder and CEO of ZealVitality. And I can help you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's live session. I'm your host, Dr. Sharma. And if you're tuning in, then you are at right place. So today we are going to talk about the health and fitness from Chad. Chad is a founder of Next Level Fitness Academy, offering both online coaching accessible from anywhere in the world and in-person training right here in Michigan. And hi, Chad. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am good. I was just giving some introduction to our viewers today. And thank you for joining here. And I think our discussion is going to be wonderful because of all your insight about the health and fitness. You have been a certified nutritionist for the last 21 years of coaching, and you have been helping men and women to transform their health for so many years. So how was your experience so far?
Oh, it's my passion to help make impact and, guide people, find what's already inside them, but really just allow them to create that belief within themselves to actually fulfill their goals. So it's a very rewarding experience.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So I just wanted to ask for our viewers, as a certified nutritionist, can you explain how different macronutrients like protein, carbs, fats, they impact the body's ability to build muscles or burn fat and recover from the workouts?
For general people trying to get in shape, macros are super important, whether you're trying to build muscle, lose fat. And the key really is to focus on your overall calorie intake. So if you're looking to lose fat and get in shape, of course, you have to burn more calories than you're taking in. You have to be in a calorie deficit to lose the fat. Now, one of the most important macronutrients is protein. So anybody that's starting their journey, whether they're trying to lose fat, build muscle, or just general health, will be protein. So protein, of course, is going to help with muscle recovery. It's going to help speed up the metabolism slightly. There's a slight thermic effect with protein, so that it makes up what is called your total daily energy expenditure, so your TEF. So that makes up a small percentage of your metabolism. So your body will utilize that protein. It'll burn more calories to break down that protein, which is a little bit more, it's better for your metabolism than taking down fat or carbohydrates. And then just making sure carbs and fats kind of, as long as you're in a calorie deficit, if you're trying to lose weight and your goal is to build muscle, of course, carbohydrates are going to be a very important part of that process if you're trying to build muscle. And I still think they're a great resource when you're trying to lose fat, because that's going to give you energy during your workout. And it might help with some non-exercise movement where you want to move more throughout the day, but your energy is low because your carbs are low. They're way too low. And that's the first thing people go to is super low carbs, but you don't always have to go super low carbs to lose fat. And I think that just comes from people, once they lower their carbs, they lose that initial weight loss. But a lot of that initial weight loss can be water weight within the first few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. And I have seen that people cutting out their carbs, losing a ton of weight initially, and then they gain it back because they are not maintaining that kind of a diet. And it's impossible to be on a very low carb diet and at the same time doing all the workout, and because your muscles, they need some kind of energy source. So as you mentioned, the protein is the building block of all these muscles. And what do you think, what is your recommendation for how much protein average person should be taking while working out, maybe just like average workout of 1 hour a day?
Yeah, so protein intake will depend on, what specifically your goal is and your activity level. So if you're somebody that is working out, let's say an hour a day, and we're talking about weight training, maybe some cardio, you're going to want to get your goal weight in protein per day. Let's say if you have a higher body fat percentage. So if you have a higher body fat percentage, easiest way is if let's say let's say you have to lose 50 pounds and your goal weight is 150 or 140, that would be a goal, a starting protein to start with. Some people say per pound of body weight in protein, but the thing is, if let's say you're 250 or 300, that's going to be really hard to get that much. So it's easier to go with your goal weight with a higher body fat percent. Now, if you have a low body fat percent, you could probably go per pound of body weight. So that would be the general guideline of your protein intake for somebody that's, whether you're trying to lose fat or build muscle, that's going to be the most important macronutrient you're going to want to hit every single day.
Right. And do you use any kind of scale for measuring those fat for those people who are getting trained by you?
Well, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
The fat percentage for the body, because nowadays, many clinics, they have those kind of scales where they can tell you what is your percentage of fat, right? So I have a Weight Watcher scale, and that gives me body composition. What is my fat percentage? Do you use something like that in your practice, in your training?
Yeah, so I use a similar approach. The issue is that, it depends on what device you're using. Back in the day when I started training, I used to use what's called like a Omron handheld electrical impedance device. You'd hold on to it. Unfortunately, those can be highly inaccurate. Those are kind of just estimate, but they can definitely be a little higher off. Then you would probably go to a scale, depending on the type of scale, that can also be off as well. And then there's one company called InBody where they make products from 6 to 20 grand. And I've jumped on those. And sometimes I jumped on them within 20 minutes and they were off by 4%. Like one time I jumped on, I was 10%. 5 minutes later, I jumped on, I was 6%. There can be, give you an estimate. Now, other forms are bod pod, but unless you have, if you can find a place that has a bod pod, or if you do a DEXA scan, would probably be the top choice. So DEXA X-ray, some places provide that for your body fat percentage, and it will also show your bone density and lean muscle mass. So a DEXA can be between, depending, like $100, $150, but you can do it a few times a year and get a great estimate where your body fat percent is with a kind of a more accurate way of looking at your body fat. Typically, since my clients, the scales, depending on what scale you have, can be inaccurate at times, depending on which one you have, I go with inches lost for body fat and just your weight and how you look in the mirror, unless they want to go, to a DEXA X-ray. And then you can also do what's called a 7-point polyp test, which is a caliper test. I used to do them all the time where you pinch, but the accuracy is dependent on the user. So if you have an experienced trainer doing your body fat percentage, it'll give you a good estimate, but it depends on the person doing the actual body fat analysis on you, doing the calipers and pinching them on the fat circumferences spots. So I would say for body fat percentages, they can go into the route of getting a DEXA, or they could go get an estimate. But since those can be inaccurate at times, I try to stick with inches lost, how their clothes are fitting and what they look like in the mirror. And I can kind of get a good guesstimate based on how they look.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. It's a good starter to get those inches recorded before you start working out and see your progress over the period of time. And don't just get stuck up with the body fat. And as you said, most of the devices, they are not giving you the accurate measurement of it. So, with your background in competitive fitness, how important is it to balance the anaerobic and aerobic exercises for optimal health and performance? Anything you recommend in general?
For general exercise performance,
Yeah,
or
so like how do they incorporate like anaerobic strength building exercise or some aerobic cardio exercises? Like, is there any formula you have you can tell us, our viewers?
yeah, everything's a little different, really. So I would say just a minimum of 2 times a week of weight training. I think weight training is so important for longevity and health span because you're building lean muscle mass. And so it's not necessarily, in my opinion, something that it's like an option. I think it's a necessity to do it because of all the important things you're going to get out of it, which is three things for health span, lifespan. Number one is your VO2 max. Number two is your muscle mass. And number three is your strength. So you can mostly get that through resistance training. So it's going to help build muscle, bone density. It's going to help you just to live a longer, healthier life and reduce your mortality rate. So, and prevent falls later on, of course. I say minimum of twice a week, and it really depends on where that person's at in their journey. So if they're a beginner, 2 times a week is the minimal effective dose. And I would not go over 6 days a week if somebody's a little bit more experienced. Now, personally, I do only 4 to 5 days a week, and that might change. The key is really just the volume of work they're doing in the week. So you could put all the volume of sets and reps within one workout, or you can spread it a little bit more throughout the week. So I would just say minimum of 2 hours of, in general, I would say strength training a week, 2 hours a week. For cardiovascular, you're going to want to get zone two, at least 130 to 150 minutes of zone two cardio, which is pretty much 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. So you can easily figure that out if you don't want to do the calculation, is where you are slightly out of breath and you can't really talk walking. Is that getting into that zone two cardio range? And so doing that at least 130 to 150 minutes per week would be just where you want to start with general health and just getting in some form of cardio.
Yeah, that's very important. I think consistency is the name of the game, and starting slow is also important. My 13 years old is actually in travel soccer, and her coach recommended her to go for strength building exercises. And so she's in one of the programs, which she's doing once a week. And when she came out of the class first time, she was sore for a week, and her muscles were tired and she had cramps. What advice do you give to people who get those kind of symptoms when they start the strength training?
Yeah, I think that's part of strength training is the initial soreness. There is some DOMS, delayed on muscle soreness, and that is mostly swelling of, it's not necessarily lactic acid, but it's more swelling in volume of water in your muscles that compresses. And what happens is it creates this soreness and tightness. So really, you want to have kind of like an average of soreness of, let's say, 1 being no, not really sore at all, don't feel anything, 10 being like I can't walk for a week. You want your average to be around 3 to 4 soreness. And you might have some days where you push yourself, or especially like on a leg day, you might be sore for 3 or 4 days, and that can happen once in a while. I would say if you're never sore, that's a problem. And if you're always sore, that's also a problem. But if your nutrition is dialed in, the soreness does go down and your body starts adapting. So when you're in beginning stages, and you haven't did anything for a long time, just like trying a new workout, if you run all the time and you go swimming, you might be very sore because your muscles are just not used to that. So that is normal. So for them, it's all about nutrition and recovery and sleep, and knowing that part of the soreness is part of the process. Some people will actually try to take aspirin, or they're going to try to take something to get rid of the pain, but that actually delays the recovery. So they try to take an anti-inflammatory. You don't want to do that because it actually can delay your muscle recovery. So you're just kind of putting the Band-Aid on it. So you need the natural inflammation process for your muscles to recover, so you can, grow and get stronger and, get better as time goes on.
Yeah, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that applies on that. So I told her to tone down a little bit if she's getting sore to the point of 7, 8. She might have to cut down on the strength building a little bit and just relax, take a lot of hydration, drink a lot of water. Sometimes magnesium helps with the muscle cramps, and just getting hot tub baths, with the Epsom salt, it just relaxes the muscles. So those are the things they can do, some actionable steps. But thank you for sharing that. Now, these days, many people are linking cortisol as a stress hormone, right? So in our practice also, we teach people how to shift their nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic. And cortisol is a stress hormone which is linked with, the fat storage. And what do you recommend to those people who are stuck at cortisol and they think that, exercise is linked with increased cortisol level, which is true, but I just want to know your take on it.
Yeah, so cortisol can cause you to gain fat. It's more of a utilization hormone, so it depends on the circumstance you're in. When you wake up, cortisol is what wakes us up. So if we have high cortisol in the morning, that is typically normal, as long as the cortisol is not chronic. So that's where we come into issues. If cortisol is chronic throughout the day, plus you're in a calorie surplus, then that can lead to fat storage because it's a utilization hormone. And so it utilizes, the nutrients. Now, if you work out or do cardio, you're going to have a cortisol spike, and that is a normal stress response with exercise. But if you pair it with the body's growth hormone release from exercise, it helps your workout. Now, that is normal to go up during your workout, but after, you will have maybe a protein shake, some fruit to get that cortisol back to baseline. So a couple things about cortisol, can it be a fat storing hormone? It can be, but it's more of a utilization depending on how, if it is it chronic or is it just elevated based on natural things such as workout, waking up, and things like that. So yeah, like you said, getting your sympathetic nervous, you're in this sympathetic state so often, you're in this fight or flight mode, right? Back in the day, cortisol would go up if you were in the cave. Our ancestors would be getting chased by a saber-toothed tiger. Cortisol would go up. Right. We need to utilize those nutrients really quick. That was our stress. Now we're in the office and we get stressed and then we have food with it. And then we're just sitting, we're not utilizing that. We're just storing it. So we're not actually moving or running or fighting off a saber-toothed tiger. So it's a primal mechanism, which is normal. So a couple of things for cortisol is just making sure you're managing and coping with your stress properly and getting proper sleep, getting your 7 to 9 hours of sleep per day. Breath work is the fastest way to get yourself out of a stressful state, getting your body from that sympathetic, like I'm go, 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 to parasympathetic, let's relax, let's get the heart rate down, and just getting your body. That's the fastest way you can do is breath work. Maybe 1 to 2 minutes even in a day can help just lower your stress response, because thinking your way out of a stressful situation when you're in a sympathetic mode doesn't really work, because it's your nervous system that needs to go down first. So that is the fastest way to get your body to get in the relaxing state.
I think that's the key, right? Because we are living that high stress life and our body is just used to that, and we are already in that stressful state, and we don't realize actually that we are running on that sympathetic state right now, because that's like a normal for everybody. So we have to be very mindful about those stresses and relax in between. That's what I think is the key to do the breath work, some kind of mindfulness, some meditation, which will help you ground and activate your parasympathetic system. So that's a very valid point. Now, we have seen that many people, they lose ton of weight in the initial few weeks of the strength training or any kind of exercise program, but they hit a plateau very soon. So what is your recommendation to overcome that plateau in the strength training or in weight loss?
I would say it's important to distinguish what a plateau means because I think everybody has a different definition based on what they read online or what they learned. So a lot of clients that start training with me will tell me, Chad, I haven't lost any weight this week. I'm in a plateau. Or it's 2 weeks, I'm in a plateau. And the truth is, that's not necessarily a plateau because you have to make sure, what does plateau mean? Does it mean just weight or does it mean inches lost? You know, did your energy go up? Are you getting stronger? Right? What are your results you're getting? So if you're losing inches and your weight doesn't change after 4 weeks, you're still losing fat and possibly building muscle. So people have to look at all these different metrics first. And I would say out of training, hundreds and hundreds of people, that most people have a perception of what a plateau is and they are very judgmental too soon. So if I see somebody's weight not change it's normal not to have their weight change for 2 or 3 weeks. You're building muscle, there's weight fluctuations if we're talking solely weight loss. So at the plateau, we have to take inventory of what we're actually doing. Are we measuring our food? Are we weighing it? Are we getting sleep? Are we getting adequate water? Are we doing the things we say we're doing, or are we just saying that? Because everyone can say, well, I'm eating healthy, but healthy doesn't necessarily mean weight loss. Healthy, you can overeat healthy foods and overconsume calories. We can have a 500 to 800 granola, yogurt with all sorts of fruit. It has vitamins and minerals, but you're not going to lose weight. So I would say first you need to establish what is that hurdle. Do you actually have a hurdle? And if you have all the check marks, okay, I'm weighing my food, I'm getting my workouts in, I'm having good stress management, you're doing all the right things, then it's deciding what is the issue. And that could be you're over consuming calories, or it could be you need to increase the intensity with your exercise. But until you do that inventory, I would say 99% of the time, people are missing some of those boxes to check off before they actually are in the plateau. Sometimes you're just in the process. And the process, sometimes you don't see things visually. They've done studies that when people don't get motivated until they see a visual result. And so they've done studies with puzzles. People work 27% faster when they see the puzzle coming together because people need that visual. But you're in the process, so you're going to sometimes not see things for weeks and maybe a month. Maybe you'll just see small differences. So it just kind of depends on what we're talking about when it comes to that. So I guess I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I think nutrition plays a very important role. They say 80% is your nutrition and 20% is the physical activity, which will help you lose weight. And one aspect is to pay attention to the calorie intake. So what they can do is, like, I have a scale in my kitchen and I just do the portions, right? So this much portion of protein and this much portion of vegetable I'm going to take today in this particular meal. And that will help me or guide me throughout the day how much calories are going in and how much portion I'm taking. So that is one of the way they can incorporate in their daily lives to just check on what they are taking in. And many times, on the kitchen counter, we have so much stuff. And I have replaced it with healthy fruits. And sometimes, you just nibble on small things around the house, in your pantry, in your kitchen, and you don't take that into account. So everything, whatever goes through your mouth, it accounts for the calorie intake. Now, I think we have very powerful discussion and many people must have gained a lot of insight. So thank you so much for joining us today here, Chad. And anything you want to say, last word to your viewers about the fitness and health?
I'll just say, hey, thanks for having me anytime. And, hopefully people found some value today. And, just don't give up, stay consistent. As long as you never give up, you can never fail.
That is true. So how they can reach you, Chad?
You guys, the easiest way to reach me, or if you're looking for just content to watch, I post a lot of fitness, nutrition advice, you can check out the Instagram at Chad Fitness. And that will probably be the easiest way. Follow me for fitness and health advice.
Wonderful. So have a wonderful Sunday, everybody. And thank you so much, Chad, for joining us. Take care.
No problem.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me.